Hello and welcome to Lighthouse Leadership, where we talk what it actually takes to lead people and scale a company. I'm Meg, leadership strategist and facilitator, and the person founders bring in when growth starts to feel a little messy. Today we have an amazing guest with us, and I'm so excited to introduce you to Dr. Alexia Soteropolous. And I want to tell you a little bit about how Dr. Alexia and I initially met. I think it was about a year and a half ago at this point. Um, but one of my clients that I was working with at the time, she said, "Oh, I think you need to meet Dr. Alexia. Dr. Alexia, I think you need to meet Meg." And so the thing that I noticed about this woman from the very get-go was her acumen. As you get to know Dr. Alexia today, you are going to realize what an intellectual individual she is. And the other thing that I noticed was how she leaned in for information, how she asked questions. And as she talks about her work, you're going to understand why this is so important. But what I'm getting at is that we don't just have a doctor on the show today. We have someone who's a bit of a detective. And I think that is really, really special when you are looking into your health. So without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Alexia Soteropoulos to the show. Hello, Dr. Alexia. How are you doing today?
Hi, Mick. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well. Um, should I introduce myself here?
Yes, please introduce yourself. Give us a little bit about, well, you haven't, this woman has an extensive background. So, yeah, give us everything that you'd like to share, whatever you want us to know about all the training and amazing knowledge that you have.
Okay, so I currently have my practice on Asoma Integrative Wellness. It's outside of Boston, but also virtually as well. My background is I'm an MD. I went to Tufts University School of Medicine, got my traditional MD education and training through there, and then quickly pivoted actually into integrative and functional health, more in the coaching consulting type lens. So I did a lot of other certifications in that space in traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, culinary medicine, and really incorporated all of that into what I do now with integrative and functional medicine. So I mostly work one-on-one with clients and do a deep dive into their health, like you said, as a detective. So most of them come to me with a myriad of symptoms, whether that's hormonal, energy related, gut issues, sleep issues, weight, whatever it may be. And then we do a deep dive from their history to lab testing and really try to figure out the root cause of whatever is going on with them and then help them heal naturally through a lifestyle based approach through nutrition, sleep, stress management, movement, all of that.
Yes. Oh, and if you know anything about me, you know I'm a huge fan of uh, that holistic style. But can we just have a moment to sit in awe of everything that Dr. Alexia has studied and how quickly she's able to say it? She's like, I did this, and this. And so we're gonna make sure that all of that's listed in the show notes. If you're like, oh, what did she say this one? She probably did. And so, yeah, you said it really well, the root cause, and here's just a little story for everyone. In my first marriage, my husband was studying to be a doctor. And the more that he would share, the more that he would learn, I would learn as well. And I kept thinking, why are they focusing so much on just the symptoms, like the surface level piece, rather than coming in and helping you fix what's actually happening? So that root cause is so, so, so important. And if you've been wondering, why am I having these symptoms? Definitely make sure that you check out Dr. Alexia's work and book a call with her too. We'll talk a little bit about that. um, okay, so with all of that extensive background, what what do you feel you're most passionate about, or has there been something that's changed over the years? Like, what's the thing that you really love focusing in on with your patients?
At this point, I really like to focus on hormonal issues. Mostly, I work with women that are relatively between the ages of 30 and 55. So, a lot of perimenopause and menopause. I do like the younger age group too for the, pre-fertility, postpartum, PMS, all those kinds of issues as well. So those issues I'm really passionate about. But in general, I do also like to really share the message of most of your health, 90% of your health is in your hands. So we think about, you have a chronic disease, you have all these symptoms. We think about how we have to go to the doctor and all of those things can't really be fixed. But I like to, and I'm very passionate about explaining that it's really in your hands and empowering people to take control of their health in that respect. And so spreading that message is actually really what I'm passionate about and showing them how they can make so many changes with their lifestyle, whether that's nutrition, sleep, exercise, movement, rest, connections, boundaries, all of those things truly make up the 90% of how you feel. Of course, there's genetics and environment and all of those other things that are in play here, but really there's so much that we can actually take control of. And most people that are in the traditional medical system are feeling burnt out from being a patient that's being shuffled through different specialists and not getting their answers. And so I'm very passionate about reframing that and empowering people that way.
I love that. Can I dig a little deeper here?
Mhm.
What was the moment, if you recall it, where you were like, people need to be empowered? And I'll just put this little plug in here that really what you're doing is helping people lead their, and particularly women, helping women lead their health and their lives. But was there a moment that this kind of, I don't know, was birthed for you, or this moment where you thought, this is what I want people to know?
I'd say there were different multiple moments within medical school and like training that led me to this. So there were times where I noticed we talked to a patient about diabetes and we would only really counsel on the medications and maybe a sentence on their diet, but it was really that they felt helpless in this scenario and I we didn't have the time as providers to really talk about all the things they could do. And that bothered me. I didn't want to be that type of doctor, and I didn't want to go in and say, "Well, here's your option here. I have 5 minutes, so this is the medication you're going to take," because that's not the doctor's fault. They don't have an hour. I can take an hour to 2 hours with the person and really talk about those things, and that's what I wanted to do, but we didn't have the opportunity. So that was the first piece. And then later on, too, within my own health in medical school, I was told that I was not a priority. Patients were the priority when I wanted to take care of my own health. And so I realized I can't be a provider that also doesn't take care of themselves and neglects their own health. So it also made me personally want to pivot and really try to explain why taking care of ourselves matters so much.
Okay. Oh my gosh. And again, kind of having lived in this world a little bit, it's so true. And for all of our listeners, like how many times have you been to a doctor, gone to a hospital, eh, gone to any provider, and it's like they're not doing the things that they're telling me to do. And probably really because of that messaging, it sounds like of, we need to take care of the patients, not take care of you. And that, oh my gosh, that's so important. So I feel that piece that you're talking about where it's like I have to be a living example of what I'm
Mhm.
helping my clients do. I love that. Okay, so I was going to ask about, originally this wasn't your path, like having uh the holistic sense of things originally. And I don't know this verbatim. So maybe tell us a little bit about what was your original plan when you started medical school, and then I think maybe there is some other pieces here that made you shift into what you're doing now.
I always liked more of the holistic side, but I didn't know that I would incorporate it into my practice in the way I do. So I thought I'll go to traditional medical school, I'll just practice like a typical doctor does, but I'll do integrative and functional medicine because that's how I just thought it would be. And then I realized that within the system, it's really hard to do that because you have limitations of insurance, of different, you know, factors at play that make it so you can't spend that long with someone unless you're in a very specific model. Um, I only really wanted to talk about nutrition and sleep and exercise and stress management and all these other things I keep mentioning. And I realized that throughout my time in medical school that that's all I really wanted to talk about. I didn't care about medications and, just kind of managing symptoms at a surface level, like you mentioned. And I really did want to go deeper. I wanted to spend more time talking to people, having those long-lasting relationships with the person in front of me rather than it being a quick, more transactional relationship. And so that's when I decided I wanted to completely pivot my career and really build a practice that I would want to be a patient or client in, but also one that really aligned with my values and the way that I wanted to practice. And I didn't want to keep going down that traditional training road and keep specializing and specializing further and further like most doctors do, because that kind of would narrow me down into a specific body part or whatever it was. I really want to connect all the pieces together. And that was the other thing is in medical school, I realized we really learned every body part. So in such an isolated manner. So we would learn, from a cellular level to the medication of every piece. So from renal to pulmonary to cardiology, it was just very vertical and it was never connecting the pieces as much. Maybe a very little bit of that, but not in the way that I wanted to understand it or that I actually realized were the connections. So that's also why I changed what I do now.
Feel like maybe that's where some of your detective work started to
Yeah.
come in. Like, wait, how does this connect to this? Like, would you say that was kind of true?
Oh yeah, I mean, I know that the gut is connected to the skin and vice versa,
Yeah.
and when you go to a dermatologist for your skin issue, 9 times out of 10, I don't think really ever, are they asking you about your gut or the integrity there? How are you digesting things? Or even your emotions, for example. I
Mm,
personally had very bad acne and anxiety in medical school, and it was all and gut issues, and it was all connected. Where once a lot of that had resolved, other places resolved too, and it wasn't the answer was not a skin surface level issue. It was
right.
really deeper, and no doctor connected the dots there.
And I'm going off the grid here a little bit, but I feel like hormones, I don't have a medical degree, so I'm not going to say this, I'm asking you. But I feel like hormones are really the thing that connect everything and like the nervous system. I mean, am I sort of correct?
Yes, I would say the nervous system, the gut, and then the hormones are really interplaying there too. You can't have one without the other. I would say the nervous system is such a big one where a lot of people's symptoms kind of boil down to stress, chronic stress, the nervous system. We're very dysregulated. We are living in a flooding of constant information, stimulation, lights, social media, the news, things that are really stimulating. I saw something the other day that said in one day we're seeing way more than our, grandparents would see in a month of in terms of like the news, emergencies, just notifications, constant bombardment of information, and we're so overloaded. And so that is leading to a huge symptom burden. So yeah, and those are all connected with our hormones like cortisol and all estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, like everything there is all really connected too.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I could go down this rabbit hole for a really long time with you. I'm like,
That
I
sounds
actually
good.
started getting tingly over here. I'm like, oh, I want to talk more about this. But, and I think just to say for all of our listeners, if something's hitting a nerve for you, as Dr. Alexia is sharing with you, definitely, maybe don't take everything. That's don't take everything you hear, but go have a conversation with a real, holistic doctor because that's the person who's going to be able to support you. Shameless plug for Dr. Alexia. So, okay. One of the reasons that we wanted to bring you on this podcast is because of the extensive background you have and all of the wealth of knowledge you can share. But there's also something else that I want to bring to our audience's attention is that you did not start very long ago, right? Like this has been a fairly new journey for you. And you guys, she didn't go to business school. She went to medical school. And so I think this is true for most founders. And within the last couple of months, I mean, I can't remember exactly when you joined, but within maybe the last 6 months or so, Dr. Alexia has been working with myself and my business partner, Jasmine Mara, who I'm sure if you haven't met her yet, you will soon, inside of our container called Magic Flow. And you've had some really, exciting, insane, wild, just you've had some really great results. If you were speaking to another student or a practitioner who was considering opening up a practice, what would you say over these last few months have been the biggest shifts for you?
I would say the biggest thing that I've that's shifted and that I've really learned with working with you both is to one, embody the type of work I want to do and who I want to be. And the level of where I'm at and where I want to be is very important. And also to just take the action is such an important piece. I know we always talk about just move, just do it. And so, I could have all these ideas and I could have 20 tabs open on my computer looking into things, but it was really when I started making the move. So, posting the content on social media, creating the master class, executing the master class, reaching out to different corporations. That's where I built so much, and that would be my recommendation is actually just do what you're saying or planning or thinking about doing. I work with different companies in corporate wellness. I have now done paid speaking engagements because I had these ideas and decided, what, instead of just waiting for the opportunity to arise, reach out and actually do them. And then it compounds from there.
It is taking everything that I have not to go, wow, really loud. Because that is such an important message for people to hear, especially those who are in business. Sometimes, maybe you can speak to this a little bit. Sometimes, especially if you're leading a team or a larger organization, or maybe you're brand new, no matter what, at any stage this can pop up, is there's a bit of overthinking or maybe decision dilemma where it's like, I don't know what to do. And you brought in this factor of action really being the piece that has yielded so many results for you. Um, did you deal with any of that overthinking or decision dilemma? How do you feel like you moved through that, or what supported you?
I always overthink anything. So
Like you're a
I
detective, so.
so I would probably say, well, okay, if I wanted to have this master class, for example, I should have it all planned out before I ever even advertise it. And one of the things that we worked on, or you suggested I do, is just start talking about it, start advertising it, and build as you go. And that, for example, was something I did with my first master class that I hosted. I just came up with a topic, I posted it, and then I started getting people in before really going too far and overthinking how to plan it, and then, going months down the line before ever even doing it. So that was a big piece. And that's also something I think about with other things. I could overthink every big process or every communication or anything else. But really, you've both empowered me to just keep going, kind of put the actions in motion. And then once you also embody that and you are embodying what you want to do, all the pieces fall together.
Yes, 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 yes. Uh, the listeners on here will really recognize this phrase, and so will you. I'm going to say it again because it's one of my favorites. Action always precedes clarity. We spend so much time in our minds wondering, if I do that, will it work? Or if I do this, will it fail? Or da 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 da. And so, this example of the master class, Dr. Alexia hosted her first online master class a couple of weeks ago at the date that we're recording. And you guys, it's fairly unheard of to even have like 10 people sign up for your first ever online event. And I don't know. I think I know the final number, but do you want to share the final number of how many people came, attended, or watched the replays?
I had 44.
44. Yes. Okay. That's what I thought. I was like, I don't know if any more trickled in the last
Yeah.
like week or
Well,
so.
I did have some people ask for the recording after the fact, so I guess
Okay.
more than that.
Oh,
Uh,
perfect. And by the way, if you would tell us a little bit about the masterclass, we'll make sure to link it in the show notes so that if anyone's interested, they can go learn as well.
So it was called the Reclaim Masterclass. So it was all about reclaiming your energy and balancing your hormones, blood sugar, and so really understanding, why are you exhausted all the time and what are some practical things that you can do within your day-to-day lifestyle to really help improve that and kind of connecting the dots between all of the hormones that I have mentioned earlier, but also, really important ones, cortisol, estrogen, progesterone, insulin, and balancing your blood sugar. And then talking about how functional medicine lab testing can also be really supportive there too.
Yes. And I also watched it and it's really good. So definitely check it out. We'll link it below. All right. So you've had some pretty big financial wins in the last, gosh, I would say even just like 3 months. Like it's been kind of just compounding on each other, on itself. And I want to bring you into your vision. I want to bring the audience into what you're building and, share with us how these financial wins are impacting or benefiting the future vision. And you can share whatever you want to of that vision as well.
So I definitely have bigger visions of expanding beyond me, first of all, within my practice. So whether that's hiring people in the future, other practitioners, different modalities even that aren't just similar to mine, and really ultimately like long-term goal expanding this. But I also have used a lot of this to really just expand what I do. So with the work that we've done and kind of empowering me to build even bigger and have broader visions, that's where the speaking comes in. That's where the corporate engagements also comes into play. And so I can reach a broader audience than just my one-on-one clients. And that's really what I want to do as I expand is how can I reach as many people as possible with that initial message I mentioned or just all the other work that I want to do. So that's where this is kind of giving me a starting step to leap into how do I expand and get my message out there to more people through different speaking or different engagements like that.
And you mentioned something that I just want to draw everyone's attention to. It's like, how can I help more people? Right? And when we talk about scaling, sometimes we think about, the strategic pieces and, if I do X, will I get Y? And I want to say, first of all, that that's human because when you are putting your energy into something, it it's okay to want to have reciprocal energy. And that reciprocal energy doesn't happen accidentally. It happens when your heart's in it. It happens when you're following your mission. And so, thank you. Thank you for sharing that piece of things because if you start to think about scaling as how can I help the most amount of people, it actually becomes so much easier, especially to do some of those scary things. Like I remember the first time that you had reached out to a corporate um, corporate company, a company about coming and doing some sessions for them. And I mean, is it okay to say there's probably a little bit of nerves there, right? And and yet, if the mission is important enough, that always outweighs those nerves. And then beautiful things happen. Like I don't remember everything about that deal, so if you, and you probably don't want to share too much about it, but it was, did it surprise you?
Yes, I will just say, yeah, I've now realized how much more value that it provides to the company, to the employees, but just, in general, so that because it does reach so many people, and that valuing myself that way is really important too.
Yeah. Yes, beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that. It's really, really important. And I just want to say for anybody who has a vision of having a team, having employees, getting on stages, going and being a part of large corporations with your gifts, with your skills, everything that Dr. Alexia has shared with you today, this is how you start it. Sometimes this is a whole other podcast episode, so I won't dive too deeply in, but there will be a lot of different ways that you can get somewhere. And the everything that Dr. Alexia has shared today, this is the way that you do it strategically in a way that makes sense for your life and doesn't leave you broke. I just want to say that because a lot of people will end up spending far too much at the very beginning. And so again, look at everything that Dr. Alexia has shared and follow that roadmap. Follow that roadmap for yourself as you are just getting started, right? Okay. So I just want to ask you if you were talking to a room full of practitioners, if everyone in this audience was somebody who either had gone to medical school or maybe they even went to nursing school somewhere in that health and wellness area, and they're sort of feeling a pull to do something different, what words of wisdom would you share with them?
I would say there's a few things that I think would be really beneficial. So if you had traditional training, it's also then getting training in another area, whether what something that you want to go into. So for me, that integrative and functional health side was really important because that's where I learned so much more than I learned in my traditional training for what I do now. I mean, of course, the traditional education was very important and it is the foundation of a lot of what I do. And everything I do is very scientifically backed. But thinking about nutrition and other things that we don't really dive deep into in the traditional sense is really helpful and really valuable to be able to help your clients or patients in that way. I would also say just do it. Just really listen to yourself and live in alignment with what you want to do. I was on the road to extreme burnout in my training and what I would have done in my career, and I know that there are other people in that world that are already burnt out there. They can't continue with that path, but they feel like they don't have another choice because they don't ever really give you another option. I was the only person in my medical school class to not continue that traditional way. Um, and they didn't give me any resources with what to do after you graduate without, going and practicing traditionally. So I had to really create it on my own. And I do want to be a resource for those people, but I think they also just don't know where to go. So really thinking about that you have other options. And I know that this is becoming more of a popular path, or a lot of doctors are, they say, leaving medicine, but really just creating their own paths. Um, and I actually know some other people in medical school now who are saying that they don't want to continue, or, after graduation, they want to try something new. So really just know there are so many options out there. You have an MD, you have whatever degree you have, your nursing degree, you can do so much more than you think.
Oh, I love that. Love, love, love. Oh, okay. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are about to close out, but I just want to make sure, is there anything else you want to share with the audience? Anything that you're feeling called on your heart to share with us?
Thank you for having me. No, I mean, we've covered so much of what I feel like I do want to express to people. That's, living in alignment with yourself for your career is super important, but also really does help your health. And that's where that 90% of your day-to-day life impacts your health is really crucial there. It's living in alignment, having those boundaries, connecting with people, thinking about what you eat, how you eat it. It's not just what you eat, it's how you're digesting, whether the digesting the food, but also
Mhm.
the everything around you. And so that's really important. And you do have the power to reclaim control of your health. So
Okay. Yes. Now we need to actually dig in. I'm like, thank you for reminding me of one more question. If you're a woman listening to this and you just did what I did in my head, like, I don't know how I digest food. If you're a woman, you're experiencing any symptoms and you have the inkling that it might be related to your hormones, it might be related to your gut, or something within your lifestyle, but you've been trying different approaches and it just doesn't seem to be working. Dr. Alexia, how can those women get a hold of you and find out if you're the person to help them from here?
yeah, I work with women all over the country, really all over the world. So whoever is listening, I definitely can be of service. I will suggest some functional lab testing if that's something that would be beneficial or in alignment with you. But otherwise, to get a hold of me, I'm on LinkedIn as my name. I'm on Instagram at Anasoma Integrative Wellness, and then my website is anasomawellness.com. And I
We'll
offer,
make sure to
calls
link
with
all of that.
people to learn more about. Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, and I think I cut her off, ladies and gentlemen, but she was saying she offers calls to make sure that, she can create a plan really based upon you. Yeah, that's
Yes. Exactly.
my apologies.
No.
But we will make sure to link Dr. Alexia's masterclass and her LinkedIn, her Instagram, and her website below. So go check that out. And I really, really encourage you, if again, if you're feeling this like tingly sensation, I think she's talking to me. I would just say go book a call, send her an email, and get that conversation started because your health is so important to your leadership, to your business, and to everyone whose, life you touch along the way. And so, again, Dr. Alexia, thank you so much for joining us, for being here today, sharing your wisdom, sharing your story. We're so grateful for you. And to everyone else, we will see you next time. And remember, just keep taking action, don't stop rowing, and you'll get there.
Thank you.